Well, hello there. Sion Batson here from Sion Batson Tutoring, and in this video, I will be teaching you how to divide fractions by fractions. A very important concept for 5th grade students, 6th grade students, 7th grade students, and GED students. So, let us go. Now, this exercise is out of my 5th grade math workbook. You can master 5th grade math, next generation learning standards. Now, this book is an excellent resource for homeschooling, virtual learning, extra practice at home, homework help, and state test prep. It is filled with very simple and easy to follow notes and explanations, step-by-step examples, guided examples, and more than 1,800 practice problems and answers. So if you have a 5th grader, I would highly recommend that you get them a copy. You can get your copy from Amazon or from our website, www.sbatsonacademy.com. Now, to our exercise. I am going to teach you 4 very simple steps that will help you master the skill of dividing fractions by fractions. Step 1, we are going to keep, change, and flip. We will keep the first fraction, then we will change the division sign to a multiplication sign. Then we are going to flip the second fraction. That's it. Yes? Keep, change, flip. Whenever you are dividing fractions, the very first thing you will do is keep, change, and flip. You will keep the first fraction. In other words, the first fraction will stay the same. Then you will change the division sign to a multiplication sign. Then we will flip or find a reciprocal of the second fraction. Reciprocal is just a fancy word for flip. Yes? Now, after we are done with our keep, change, and flip, we will multiply the numerators. Then we will multiply the denominators. And lastly, we will always check to see if we can write our answer in its simplest form. And also, if your answer is an improper fraction, yes, we will convert the improper fraction to a mixed number. 4 very simple steps. How are you feeling? Come on, let us get the party started. Are you ready to have some fun? Let's get pumped. Come on. Our first example here, we have 1/4 divided by 2/3. Yes? So the very first thing we are going to do is keep, change, and flip. We keep the first fraction. The first fraction stays the same. Yes? Then we change the division sign to a multiplication sign. So far, so good. Then we flip the second fraction. So the 3 now goes to the top, and the 2 comes to the bottom. Very simple stuff. Come on with me. Come on. All right. So we are done with step 1. We keep, we changed, and we flip. Yes? Step 2, we are going to multiply the numerators. Let's multiply. Our numerators are 1 times 3. And 1 times 3 will give us 3. Then we will multiply the denominators. Our denominators are 4 times 2. And 4 times 2 will give us 8. How simple was that? How fun was that? How exciting was that? This is easy stuff. Come on. Now, after multiplying our numerators and our denominators, we have 3 eighths. So we are going to check to see first if we can write our fraction or our answer in its simplest form. And to write a fraction in its simplest form, we will simply divide the numerator and the denominator by their greatest common factor. The greatest common factor for 3 and 8 will be the biggest number that can go into 3 and 8 evenly. In this example here, the biggest number that can go into 3 and 8 evenly is 1. In other words, the greatest common factor for 3 and 8 is 1. And whenever the greatest common factor for the numerator and the denominator is 1, that simply means that our fraction is already in its simplest form. So our final answer here is 3 eighths. How was that? This is fun stuff. This is exciting stuff. Pump it up. Come on. Woo! How are you guys feeling? All right. Now, if you are new to my YouTube channel, welcome to the party. Thank you for joining us. Now, kindly click on the subscribe button and turn your notifications on so that you can be notified every time I post a fun, exciting, and easy to follow math tutorial. Yes? Thank you, my friends. Now, let us keep the party going. This is fun stuff. Yes. I'm so happy you guys are here with me today. And we are going to have a good time. Yes? So here we have 9/20ths divided by 3/5. So the very first thing we are going to do is keep, change, and flip. Yes? We will keep the first fraction. The first fraction stays the same. Then we will change the division sign to a multiplication sign. Then we will flip the second fraction or find the reciprocal of the second fraction. If we flip 3/5, the 5 will now go to the top and the 3 comes to the bottom. How is that? It's very simple stuff. It's very exciting stuff. Woo! Now, after we are finished with our keep, change, and flip, we will multiply the numerators. Yes? Our numerators here are 9 and 5. So we will do 9 times 5. And 9 times 5 is 45. Yes? Then we will multiply our denominators. Our denominators are 20 and 3. So we will do 20 times 3. And 20 times 3 is 60. Very good. Once we are finished multiplying the numerators and the denominators, we will check first to see if we can write our answer in its simplest form. To write a fraction in its simplest form, we will simply divide the numerator and the denominator by their greatest common factor. The greatest common factor for 45 and 60 will be the biggest number that can go into 45 and 60 evenly. Yes? The biggest number that can go into 45 and 60 evenly is 15. Yes? So we will divide the numerator by 15 and we will also divide the denominator by 15 as well. 45 divided by 15 is 3, yes? And 60 divided by 15 is 4. How was that? So our final answer is 3/4. Now, if you need to review how to write fractions in their simplest form, I got you. I did a very simple and easy to follow video for you that will help you master the skill of writing fractions in their simplest form. You can watch that video, master the skill, then come back and join us, yes? All right. Now, I want to show you a second option you have here. If you realize, after multiplying, we have some really big numbers. We can avoid these monsters. We can avoid these monsters by simplifying the fractions before we multiply. So let me show you something that's really, really cool. Let me show you something that's really, really cool. Again, we will keep the first fraction. We will change our division sign to a multiplication sign, and we will flip the second fraction. A very cool option, or a very cool skill that we can always use when multiplying fractions, yes, before we multiply the numerators and the denominators, we can always simplify the fractions before we multiply. Yes? Simplifying the fractions before we multiply will help us make the numerators and the denominators as small as possible. And life is always easier when multiplying really small numbers. Yes? Now, if you want to simplify fractions before you multiply the fractions, the rule says you can divide a numerator and a denominator that are diagonal to each other by their greatest common factor. Yes? And again, the greatest common factor for 9 and 3 will be the biggest number that can go into 9 and 3 evenly. Yes? The biggest number that can go into 9 and 3 evenly is 3. So we can divide 9 by 3. 9 divided by 3 will give us 3. So we will shrink our 9 to a 3. And we will divide the denominator 3 by 3, which is 1. So we will shrink this 3 to a 1. So far, so good? Yes. Now, let's see if we can simplify the other pair of numerator and denominator. Again, to simplify, you can divide a numerator and a denominator that are diagonal to each other. And to simplify them, we will divide them by the greatest common factor, which is the biggest number that can go into 5 and 20 evenly. The biggest number that can go into 5 and 20 evenly is 5. Therefore, the greatest common factor for 5 and 20 is 5. So we will divide our 5 by 5. That will give us 1. So we will shrink this 5 to a 1. And we will divide 20 by 5 as well. 20 divided by 5 is 4. So we will shrink our 20 to a 4. Note how I divided the numerator and the denominator by 5. Yes, I must divide the numerator and the denominator by the same number, which is the GCF. So after simplifying, let's see what we have left. We now have a 3. Yes. And a 4. Yes. And we have what? 1 and a 1. Yes? And let's multiply. We multiply the numerators. 3 times 1 will give us 3. And then we will multiply the denominators. 4 times 1 will give us 4. So after simplifying, you will multiply the new numerators, which were 3 and 1, and the new denominators, which were 4 and 1. Now, look how simplifying gave us these really small numbers to multiply. We get the same answer, yes? But simplifying the fractions before you multiply them allow us to work with really small numerators and denominators. Now, if you need to practice the skill of simplifying fractions before multiplying fractions, I got you again. I just did a lesson simplifying fractions before multiplying fractions. Watch that lesson. It's a very simple skill and it's a useful skill. It will help you avoid big numbers when you are multiplying fractions, yes? How are you feeling? All right. Woo! Yes, I love that skill. It's a forgotten skill, simplifying fractions before multiplying fractions. But it's a very useful skill. It's very helpful. All right. Let us now try another problem here. 1/2 divided by 1/8. Yes? So first, we will keep the first fraction. So 1/2 stays the same. We will change the division sign to a multiplication sign. And then we will flip or find the reciprocal of the second fraction. If we flip 1 over 8, we will get 8 over 1. So far, so good? Super. Now, after we are finished with our keeping, our changing, and our flipping, we will multiply the numerators. Our numerators here are 1 and 8. Now 1 times 8 will give us 8. Then we will multiply the denominators. Our denominators are 2 and 1. 2 times 1 is 2. How are you? This is fun stuff. How are you feeling? All right. Now, after multiplying our numerators and denominators, we always check to see if we can write our answer in its simplest form. Yes? So let's see what we can do here. We have 8 over 2. Well, remember, this line in the middle here is also a division sign. So you can look at this fraction as 8 divided by 2. Yes? And 8 divided by 2 is 4. So our final answer here is 4. Yes? How are you feeling? Come on, get pumped. Woo! It's a party we're having. We're having a party, and I want you guys to get pumped up. All right, I am going to do one more, and then I will give you guys a chance to shine. Let's do 9/10 divided by 2/5. Yes? 9/10 divided by 2/5. So the very first thing we want to do again, always when dividing fractions, is to keep, change, and flip. Yes? We will keep the first fraction. In other words, the first fraction stays the same. Then we will change the division sign to a multiplication sign. Then we will flip the second fraction or find the reciprocal of the second fraction. Yes? The second fraction is 2/5, and if we flip 2/5, the 5 will now go to the top and the 2 will come down to the bottom. So far, so good? Nice. After we have finished keeping and changing and flipping, we will multiply the numerators. our numerators are 9 and 5, so we will do 9 times 5. And 9 times 5 is 45. Yes? Next, we will multiply the denominators. Our denominators are 10 and 2. So we will do 10 times 2. 10 times 2 is 20. So far, so good? Step by step, no rushing. We're taking our time and we're going step by step. Yes? Now, after we are done multiplying the numerators and the denominators, we always check first to see if we can write our answer in its simplest form. Yes? And again, to write a fraction in its simplest form, we will simply divide the numerator and the denominator by their greatest common factor, which is the biggest number that can go into the numerator and the denominator evenly. For this problem here, the biggest number that can go into 45 and 20 evenly is 5. Therefore, the greatest common factor for 45 and 20 is 5. Yes? So we will divide 45 by 5 and 20 by 5 as well. Yes? 45 divided by 5 is 9. And 20 divided by 5 is 4. So far, so good? All right. After writing our fraction in the simplest form, we have an improper fraction. Yes? So we will convert our improper fraction to a mixed number. Again, to convert an improper fraction to a mixed number, you will simply divide the numerator by the denominator. Yes? 4 goes into 9 2 times. 4 times 2 is 8. Minus, you have 1. This 2 on top of the house, that would be your whole number. The remainder here, 1, would be your numerator. And the denominator, the number outside of the house, stays 4. So our final answer is 2 1/4. Now, if you need to review again how to convert an improper fraction to a mixed number, I got you like always. I did a very simple video that will help you master the skill of converting improper fractions to mixed numbers or to mixed fractions, yes? Watch that video, master the skill or review the skill, yes? And then come back and try these problems. So again, our final answer is 2 1/4 or 2 1/4. Now, of course, I want to show you that you always have the option of simplifying fractions before multiplying fractions. And again, when you simplify fractions, you can divide a numerator and a denominator that are diagonal to each other, yes, by their greatest common factor. And you might be asking, well, why do I need to simplify the fractions before I multiply the fractions? Well, simplifying the fractions before you multiply the fractions allow you to make the numerators and the denominators as small as possible. And life is so much easier when multiplying really small numbers. Yeah? So let's see if we can simplify here, then multiply, yes? So if we want to simplify 9 and 2, we will have to find the greatest common factor for 9 and 2. Well, the greatest common factor for 9 and 2 is 1, because the biggest number that can go into 9 and 2 evenly is 1. So since the greatest common factor for 9 and 2 is 1, we will leave 9 and 2 alone, because dividing by 1 changes nothing. Yes? If I divide 9 by 1, I will still get 9. If I divide 2 by 1, I will still get 2. So whenever the greatest common factor is 1, we will not divide, yes? Or we will not simplify. But let's check the second pair here. Let's check this numerator 5 and this 10 here, yes? Again, note, when I'm simplifying, I have to choose a numerator and a denominator that are diagonal to each other. Not across from each other, not above or below, but diagonal to each other, yes? Can I simplify 5 and 10? Yes. To simplify again, I will find the biggest number that can go into 5 and 10 evenly, or the greatest common factor for 5 and 10. Well, the biggest number that can go into 5 and 10 evenly is 5. Therefore, the greatest common factor for 5 and 10 is 5. So I can divide this 5 by 5. 5 divided by 5 will give me 1. So I will shrink my 5 to a 1. And then I will divide this 10 by 5 as well. 10 divided by 5 will give me 2. So I shrink my 10 to a 2. Yes? Once I'm finished simplifying, I will multiply my new numerators. The 9 stays, but I shrunk my 5 to a 1. I shrunk my 10 to a 2, yes? After you're done multiplying the numerators, you come down to the denominators. And the 2 stays. We have small numbers. That's the plan of simplifying fractions before you multiply them. To work with numbers that are really small, yes? So 9 times 1 is 9. And 2 times 2 is 4. So we will still get 9 over 4, yes? And again, if you convert 9 over 4 to a mixed number, you will get 2 1/4. How are you feeling? This is fun stuff. This is exciting stuff. Now, guess what time it is? Oh, yes. It is your turn to shine. Come on. Your turn to shine. Hey. Your turn to shine. Come on. So what I want you guys to do for me now is pause the video and give this one a try. You will pause the video. Yes, if you need to, you can go back and watch the previous examples that we worked. But I want you to pause the video, go step by step, try this one on your own, then come back and let's see if we get the same answer. Yes? All right. Welcome back. How are you feeling? How are you guys feeling? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling great? Super! Now, let's see if we get the same answer. First step, we will keep, change, and flip. Yes? We'll keep the first fraction. The first fraction always stays the same. Then we will change our division sign to a multiplication sign. Then we will flip our second fraction. So the 8 will now go to the top, and the 5 comes to the bottom. Flip or find the reciprocal. It's the same thing, yes? All right, so you always flip the second fraction or find the reciprocal for the second fraction. Finding the reciprocal for the second fraction simply means you are going to flip the second fraction. And only the second fraction is flipped. Yes, the first one stays the same. The first fraction stays the same. Only the second fraction is flipped. All right, after we finish keeping and changing and flipping, we will multiply the numerators. Our numerators are 1 and 8. So 1 times 8 will give us 8. And then we will multiply the denominators. Our denominators are 10 and 5. 10 times 5 is 50. Yes? After multiplying the numerators and the denominators, we always check to see if we can write our fraction in its simplest form. And we can. If we were to divide the numerator and the denominator by 2. Yes? 8 divided by 2 is 4. And 50 divided by 2 is 25. So our final answer is 4 over 25. How did you do? Good job on getting the correct answer. Now, I want you guys to give yourselves a big pat on the shoulder for getting the correct answer. I'm very proud of you. Now, look right here again, of course. I have to show you my favorite skill when I'm multiplying fractions. Always check to see if you can simplify the fractions before you multiply the fractions. Can we simplify? In this example, we can simplify the 8 and the 10. Remember again, when you're simplifying, you will choose a numerator and a denominator that are diagonal to each other. And you simplify them by dividing the numerator and the denominator by their greatest common factor. The greatest common factor for 8 and 10 is 2, because the biggest number that can go into 8 and 10 evenly is 2. So we will divide 8 by 2, we will get 4. So we will shrink our 8 to a 4. Then we will divide 10 by 2, and we will get 5. So we shrink our 10 to a 5. Yes? Now, what about this pair? Can we simplify this pair? Well, again, to simplify 1 and 5, we will have to find the greatest common factor for 1 and 5, or the biggest number that can go into 1 and 5 evenly. The biggest number that can go into 1 and 5 evenly is 1, or the greatest common factor for 1 and 5 is 1. And whenever the greatest common factor is 1, we will not divide, because again, dividing by 1 changes nothing. When we divide by 1, the number stays the same. 1 divided by 1 is 1. 5 divided by 1 is 5. So the 5 stays the same, the 1 stays the same. So we're not going to divide. So let us multiply our new numerators now. Well, the 1 stays, and we shrunk our 8 to a 4. Let's come to our denominators. We shrunk our 10 to a 5, and the 5 stays here. So 1 times 4 is 4, and 5 times 5 is 25. So we get the same answer. But when we simplify, we get to work with smaller numbers. Yes? So it's a very useful skill. Yes? It's a very helpful skill. All right. Let's do one more, and we are out of here. Let's do 2/3 divided by 2/5. Again, pause the video. Yes? Give it a try. Like always, you can go back and watch the previous examples if you need to, but go step by step. I believe in you. I believe in each and every one of you. You guys got this. All right. Welcome back. Welcome back. How are you guys feeling? Ooh, I can see the smiles. I can see the confidence glowing. And I love it. I love it. That means you guys are confident, and it means that you guys have mastered the skill. Very good. Give your parents a high five. Give your grandparents a high five. Give your siblings a high five. Give yourselves a high five. Come on. Woo! We are going to finish with a bang. So again, step 1, we will keep, change, and flip. The first fraction, we will keep it. The first fraction is our favorite. We don't want to mess with it. It stays the same. Then we will change our division sign to a multiplication sign. Then we will flip the second fraction, or find the reciprocal of the second fraction. And again, reciprocal is just a fancy word for flipping. So this 2 will go to the bottom, and the 5 will go to the top. So far, so good. Did you do the first step correctly? Good job. Step 2, we will multiply the numerators. Let's multiply. Our numerators are 2 and 5. 2 times 5 is 10. Then we will multiply the denominators. Our denominators are 3 and 2. And 3 times 2 is 6. Did you get 10 over 6? No! Nice! Let's check to see if we can write our fraction here in its simplest form. We can. Yes? we can divide both the numerator and the denominator by 2. Yes? If we divide by 2, we will get 10 divided by 2 is 5, and 6 divided by 2 is 3. But we have an improper fraction. Yes? And if we have an improper fraction, it's our responsibility to convert it to a mixed number or a mixed fraction. And it's a very simple skill. To convert an improper fraction to a mixed number, we will simply divide the numerator by the denominator. 3 goes into 5 one time. 3 times 1 is 3. Subtract 2. The number on top of the house is your whole number. The remainder is your numerator. And the denominator stays the same. So our final answer is 1 2/3. Now, I know some of you are really good with your times tables and you were saying, I don't want to do all of that. Well, you don't have to. You can divide. 3 goes into 5 one time. 2 is left over. And your denominator remains 3. Yes? Did you get 1 2/3? Ah, very good. Come on. Come on. Woo! Of course, I have to show you my simplifying skill before I go, because I really want you guys to learn the skill and embrace the skill. Yes? Whenever you are about to multiply fractions, you always check to see if you can simplify the fractions before multiplying the fractions. Yes? In this example, we can simplify these two, this numerator and this denominator. Again, when we're simplifying, we'll choose a numerator and a denominator that are diagonal to each other. Yes? And we will divide them by their greatest common factor, or by the biggest number that can go into the numerator and the denominator. The biggest number that can go into 2 and 2 is 2. So we will divide this 2 by 2. 2 divided by 2 will give us 1. So we will shrink this 2 to a 1. If we divide this 2 by 2, we will get 1 as well. So we will shrink our 2 to a 1. Then we will multiply. Now note, we are unable to simplify this pair because the greatest common factor for 5 and 3 is 1. And whenever the greatest common factor is 1, we will not divide, because dividing by 1 changes nothing. Yes? 5 divided by 1 is still 5, so the 5 will remain the same. And 3 divided by 1 is still 3. Nothing changes. So never divide by 1 when simplifying. So let's multiply our new numerators. We shrunk our 2 to a 1 here, so we put back the 1. This 5 stays the same because we weren't able to simplify. Then we multiply our new denominators. This 3 stayed the same because we weren't able to simplify, but we shrunk our 2 to a 1. This will give us 1 times 5 is 5, 3 times 1 is 3. Yes? And again, we have an improper fraction. If we change our improper fraction to a mixed number, we will get 1 2/3. Same answer, but when you simplify, you get to work with really small numbers. How is that? How are you guys feeling? Come on, come on, come on. I really hope you guys enjoyed this math lesson. I really hope you guys will find it helpful and useful. Until next time, enjoy your math homework and your math practice. See you.